Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to grow some tomatoes. It's been a while since I did any tomato videos, so today we are going to do one. And before we start with the process, I just wanted to show you the seedling process. It's very easy, so I'm going to skip right through this quickly. All you have to do is put some seeds into a rockwool cube, soak it in water, and in around 10 days, this is what your tomato seedlings will look like. You're not going to need all of them, so you can actually thin them out. I'm just gonna wait a little bit more to see which one's the strongest, and then I can pull the rest out. And here's another one that just started. These are two different varieties. This is the Berries Crazy Cherry, and this is the Khang Starr Sweet Cherry. And this variety is amazing. It tastes like a fruit, and you really can't detect tomatoes in there, so it's really good. And here I have some seedlings started in some paper towel method. So that's another way you can do that. All you have to do is wet the paper towel, squeeze out the water. Just make sure there's some wetness in here, and then put the seeds in. And you see, within a few days they'll sprout like that. And you can pull them out and put them into the rock wool if you want. And that's as simple as that. And tomato grows really well in hydroponic. Let me show you one that I did a while ago. You see, this is a really small one that I cloned, and look at all the fruits there are on here. So a really small tiny plant, lots and lots of fruit. So tomato is really fun. So anyway, we'll be back once the seedlings are ready, and then we'll go through the next process. Okay, it has been 17 days now, and my seedlings are ready to be transplanted. As soon as I started feeding these guys half-strength nutrients, they started taking off, and as you can see, I thinned out all of the other ones, so this is the only one that's left. So we're gonna keep things very simple. I'm gonna grow this in a 5-gallon bucket, and the lid, you see, I drilled a hole right there, and it's very easy. I've done this in many of my videos, so I'm gonna go through this very quickly. You're gonna need a 51mm hole saw, and you just drill a hole, and that 51mm will fit a 2-inch Netcup. So it's as simple as that. Okay, so what we're going to do now is get this thing hooked up, because I'm gonna pump air into this, and I'm using 5 gallons because later on when I want to change nutrients, I'm gonna use another bucket, lift this up and switch it. Hopefully the plant is not too heavy, but I plan on doing some pruning, so to keep it small in my tent. But anyway, let's go ahead and get this set up, and I'll show you exactly what I'm doing. Okay, the first thing I did here was run the tube through there. I drew a little hole there to fit, and that line goes to the pump. And then what we're going to do now is we're going to add nutrients, and I'm going to use the AeroGarden plant food. Okay, for 5 gallons, I'm going to use 5 of this, and this is basically 5 milliliter or 1 teaspoon. Okay, and we're going to add water here, and this is straight from my garden. And the reason why I added the nutrients first is so that when you spray the water in, it gets mixed in really well. Okay, we are all set. The water is filled, and the next thing we're going to do is put our lid on top, and then we're going to take our seedling. I grew it in this system right here, you see, so the roots are kind of long, and we place it in there. And because we're using the DWC method, the roots could be submerged completely, and that's fine. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn on our system and see. Okay, here we are. Let's see. I need to hook up the pump and see if it's running. Okay, there it is right there. The pump is running, so everything's all set. So we'll be back and check on it soon. Okay, we are on day number 28, and the tomato plant is doing great. So it's not grown as fast as it should because I'm doing this in the winter time and it is very cold. Tomato plants are warm weather plants, so they do slow down when it gets really cold. So last week temperature in Texas dropped to 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Everything outside died. Even the stuff in my garage died. They froze and they're just dead. These guys were inside the tent, so they were kept a little bit warmer, so they were alive. So but I can tell that they struggled a little bit and the leaves started to change color because of the cold weather. But now we're back to warm weather again, so they're going to take off very soon. So after 28 days, here is what it looks like. There's not much happening in the roots area because you see there's kind of brownish roots because the water was so cold. It was like freezing in the garage, and I'm surprised that these guys were still alive. But you see the water the level has not dropped too much, so we have a lot of liquid left. So we're gonna keep this going, and you see here I have a time lapse that's recording. Okay, today we are on day number 33 and the tomato is putting out new flowers. So we're going to get fruits very soon. You see there's a truss right there with some flowers. The plant grew a little bit and the roots actually got larger. You see, there it is. It's grown nicely. The water level dropped a little bit. So it's going to start to take off now because the weather is really nice. So we'll be back soon and you're going to see a huge difference in the next update. Okay, we are on day number 42 and we have some flowers. Look at all of these flowers that are forming, and some already gotten a little big. You see the yellow flowers down there? So those are gonna turn into fruits in a few days. But at this age, they will start to take off very fast. The root system is much larger now. Right there. Still have those brown color from the damage of the freeze, but it seems to be looking fine. So there are more roots. So more roots meaning they're gonna be a lot more growth. So they also started to drink very fast. So I added some nutrients recently just so that it can cover the roots there, and I think I'm gonna wait a few more days and then I'm gonna change this bucket out for fresh nutrients because it's been 40 something days and I have not changed the nutrients yet, and it's a good idea to change it every 3 to 4 weeks. So yeah, everything is looking good. In the next update you're going to see fruits. So these are indeterminate varieties, so it's gonna grow and grow and grow. And the more suckers there are, the more fruits they will put out. Because you see these suckers here? It'll put flowers at those suckers, and then there's more suckers here. And you can actually cut those suckers off and propagate them into a new tomato plant if you need. So if you need another tomato, just cut it right here, put it in water, and it will grow into a new plant, and then you can plant that as a fully grown tomato somewhere else. Okay, welcome back. We are on day number 49 and we finally got fruits for the tomato. There it is. The flowers are starting to turn into fruits, so everything is looking great. You see, so what it does is it'll get pollinated, and then these flowers will fall off, and then the fruit will come out of that. You see that circular thing right there? That is the fruit there. And from that point into a mature fruit, it doesn't take very long. They grow very fast, but it does have a period until they start to ripen up. But what I did here was you see all of the lower leaves are gone, because the lower leaves are actually, it doesn't really do much for the plants, So I removed it. I removed all of the lower leaves, and I removed leaves that are kind of like pointing through, blocking lights from getting through to the new suckers right here. So suckers will come out of these nodes where the leaves form. You see, that's a sucker right there, and each of those sucker will grow sort of like into its own branch, and then they will produce flowers for the fruiting. So if you clear it early, then the sucker will get enough light, and then it will start to produce the flowers better. You see that? You see this right here? You see how it's blocking that? So either move it to the side, or just you can just cut that part off, and it's fine, because tomato produces a lot of leaves. So cutting a few won't harm the tomato. And actually, if you cut all of the bottom leaves here, it actually helps with the airflow going through. And also, like if you grow it outside, then the airflow will really help with preventing like fungus and all the diseases from getting onto the tomato. So it's a good idea to trim, all of these bottom leaves here, get it out of the way. Also, when you trim the bottom leaves, because bottom leaves get enormous because they're the first one that formed, and they also suck up a lot of nutrients. So if you trim all the bottom leaves here, it actually slow down the drinking process, and your reservoir would last a little bit longer. So you can see I trimmed a lot of leaves right here. Let me show you. So I trimmed like half of the plant. It kind of wrinkled now because I trimmed it yesterday. So those are all of just the lower leaves. They are enormous. They're kind of shriveled up now, but you see that's like half of the plant. So occasional pruning is actually a good idea. You want to promote the sides right here. These are the side shoots or the suckers, and each of these suckers will form and grow and grow and grow, and then they will form fruits on the vine. You see here? So suckers are good. These are indeterminate variety, so they can grow enormous, and they will have a lot of suckers. It's okay to prune some of these suckers here, like this one here, where it's being blocked. So it's not gonna do well, so you can prune those off. But those that are growing really nice and up here, you should leave those, because those will produce fruits. And the more suckers you have, the more fruits you will have. So growing tomato is very easy indoor. They're one of the easiest fruiting plants to grow. They grow extremely fast. So the few important things that you need is a large reservoir, because they drink a lot of nutrients. I did not change the nutrients at all. What I did was I just keep adding for the 49 days. I haven't changed it. I just keep adding. But it's a good idea to implement changing nutrients every 3 to 4 weeks. But as it gets to this size, you probably have to do that more often. But because I grew from the little baby plant into this size, it does take a while before it starts to drink up the nutrients. But once it starts to drink a lot, I keep adding and adding. I think I added 2 gallons. That's it. So the total time, all I did was add about 2 gallons of fresh nutrients to it. I didn't change it out at all. But you should, just in case, because sometimes the nutrients become imbalanced. And then if you keep adding, then you kind of like make the nutrients imbalanced, as I mentioned. And then it could cause some fruiting problem, or it could cause the plants to struggle, because there's certain imbalance in there that would cause the plant to not be able to take up the proper nutrients for it to grow well. But for this grow right here, everything's fine. But it's just for best result, it's always good to change your nutrients every 3 to 4 weeks when the plants are small, and when they're bigger, change it every 2 to 3 weeks. That's really the key. And occasional trimming is good. Trimming from the bottom, allow air to flow through. That would reduce fungus and all these other diseases to grow. But tomatoes are self-pollinator, so they don't need anything. All you have to do is just shake the plants every once in a while when you see flower. Actually, you don't even have to do that, because the flowers grow really uniquely for tomato variety. You see, it opens up like this, and in the center there is this little thing here, and it's surrounded by the pollen you know, I forgot what they're called. I just lost my chain of thought. But the pollen will fall onto the stigma automatically, and it will just automatically pollinate itself. So there's really no need for you to worry about it. So tomatoes are one of the best plants to grow indoor for fruiting plants. And that is basically it. It's very simple. Just keep it as simple as possible. And that's the way to encourage yourself to grow. Because when things are too difficult to do, usually many people will give up before they can successfully grow something. But keep it simple. All I did was I used the AeroGarden nutrients, and 5 milliliter per gallon. I didn't pH at all. pH is a good idea, but I didn't do it, and as you can see, it still works just fine. But you know, pHing will give the plants the best results. So there you have it, guys. Also important to have sufficient light, so get a good light setup. It is very important. You get those cheap lights, and then your plants will be stretching like crazy. Tomato vines are all over the place because the intensity is not strong enough. And then you also need a full spectrum, because the full spectrum will allow the plants, the indoor environment to mimic the outdoor sun, and it will fruit and it will grow vegetatively and all that stuff at the same time. So it is a good idea for a full spectrum, something strong enough. And some space. Of course, the tomato plants do need a lot of space because they do stretch. They have not stopped growing yet, so that's because I'm stopping the video here. But if I let it go for another 30 days or so, it's gonna be all over the place, and I'm gonna have to raise the lights. I'm gonna have to trellis it and all that stuff. So these are indeterminate variety. They grow like crazy. And you can see what I'm doing right here is I have these ropes. So I tied it to 4 corners. That's what's keeping my tomato from falling over. You see that? So there's a rope over there, and there's a rope in that corner. And when I grow indoor, I find that these rope is the best from preventing tomato from falling over. Okay, so that is it. I hope this is easy enough to sort of like help you, help motivate you to start growing tomato inside, or maybe other plants. You see here, I'm growing Chinese cabbages, and over here too. And it's very easy to do. Keep things as simple as possible. Go back to my previous videos about growing other plants. I tried to keep things as simple as possible so that people can follow and enjoy the video at least, and maybe mimic the process. So that is all, guys. I hope you enjoy the video. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave it below, and thank you so much for watching.